Let's jump to the story from Politico. DeSantis says he won't get involved with Trump's potential indictment in any way. Right now on Twitter, it's heating up. I'm seeing, Ben Shapiro. He's quote tweeting Matt Walsh. Internal rift at the Daily Wire over whether or not Ron DeSantis could, should, or would extradite Donald Trump. Now, it seems, based on questions asked to DeSantis himself, he's not going to get involved in the indictment in any way, which sounds like he's saying outright, I will not extradite Donald Trump from Mar-a-Lago to New York. But what happens to a country when a state indicts a former president for the first time in history, who's also the current front runner? Then the state where he is says, I am not going to get involved. He's not getting extradited. What do?
Send in the FBI to go extradite him.
Why would the FBI do it?
I don't know.
I read somewhere that the Secret Service is supposed to be the one in charge of this. Like they're sent out to arrest. Is that
so?
True?
The Secret Service will act upon a state warrant? That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
No, none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if you want to say we're living in a simulation in the computer type way, that it feels like AI is writing all of this.
Yeah, we're
Chat GPI is writing all of this.
Trump has 6 fingers.
We're trying something new.
This is crazy.
This is new. I looked into it, and a lot of times, like the only time that maybe a governor won't give someone over might be like for death penalty, let's say, and one state believes in it, another state doesn't. Never for really something like this, obviously, where it's a felony if guilty, or more likely, this is more of a misdemeanor, but they're going after a felony. But it also gets just wrapped up in the courts within the state. The problem is if DeSantis says he won't get involved and he commits to that, and this is actually happening, that he will absolutely not become president of the United States whenever he wants that base to support him, that Trump base. He needs that Trump base.
It's not just about the Trump base. It would be an utmost sign of weakness and a failure of leadership if he allows Trump to be arrested.
Also, within his speech that he's talking about, not getting involved, he's saying that it's political persecution. Okay, so if you're saying it and you're admitting to it, but you're also at the same time saying you're not going to do anything about it, are you serious?
Is how you
be a leader, like you're saying.
Exactly.
This is how you keep supporters happy, like Jeb Bush.
Right.
Jeb Bush would like this rhetoric from DeSantis.
Yes,
that's why he has Jeb Bush in his corner.
It's not even
for sure.
It's already bad enough. DeSantis wasn't strong enough in his statement. Saying I'm not going to get involved in any way is already bad enough. If he actually lets Trump be extradited, so here's what needs to happen. DeSantis, if he wants to prove he's presidential, he says Donald Trump, he needs to come out and say, Donald Trump will not be extradited from this state under my watch for a political persecution. He is the front runner for the Republican Party's 2024 presidential run. He is a former president, and everyone can see these charges are political. If you make any attempt to come into my state, I will use the full force of the executive branch to stop you. That is presidential.
Yeah, and
he's not doing that. He goes, I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah, and a lot of people say like, oh, well, Trump's been taking jabs at him. I totally understand that. I totally get it. But if you do if you are looking to run for president, either 2024 or the session after, if you want to be a leader, lead, like what you're saying. I mean, lead the way. Everyone's people are saying, oh, well, he's just a governor for Florida. What other governors are saying anything? Well, nobody's a governor that's in the position that DeSantis is in.
What are they so scared of? What is everyone so scared of? Ask yourself this question right now, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity. What are you scared of? Why didn't you jump out of that plane when you went skydiving the first time? When you were there with your friends and they opened the door and then you changed your mind at the last minute and rode the plane back down and said, I just couldn't do it. Why didn't you go down that double black diamond with your friends when they went skiing? What are you scared of? Now, in those circumstances, I get it. What if my parachute fails? What if I go too fast, I crash, I break my bones? That I get. For Ron DeSantis, for a political position, what are you so scared of? What is anyone scared of when it comes to standing up? Well, what if some bad thing happens? Bad things are already happening. They're talking about indicting a former president for the first time on what we know is complete BS charges, well past the statute of limitations, to try and stop him in any way they can from being president because he's winning. What does Ron DeSantis fear by just getting on camera, looking straight into it and saying, Alvin Bragg, go fuck yourself? What is he so scared of? I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated. because I am absolutely sick in every capacity, so much of everyone being scared of nebulous political consequences. I certainly don't give a shit. And I'm thinking to myself, the last thing I'd ever want to do is be in political office. But the more I see people, even like DeSantis, refuse to say to the camera and the press, y'all can go fuck yourselves, then I'm just like, we need someone who's going to do it. Now I really do get why Trump won in 2016. Now I really do get why he gained 12 million voters. And now I totally understand why so many more people wear his hats, fly his flag, because it's about time somebody just said, I don't care. Fuck you, I'm doing it.
I think
now you got me swearing.
It's because DeSantis is trying to pander to like the old school politics, and he's trying to be the Trump but anti-Trump figure. But we're in a post-Trump, post-COVID world where everything's upside down, everything's insane and chaotic. But he's like, this very politically vague statement is pre-COVID, pre-Trump, and it's not going to go anywhere. I don't know who he's trying to keep happy with that kind of stuff.
And he's doing a fantastic job within his state. I mean, he really is. But we're talking about the fall of the nation that's at risk here. We're talking about political persecution. I mean, hell, how many months ago did the Biden administration literally create a ministry of frickin' truth?
Yeah, like 8 months ago.
Things are 10 times worse now. You need to buckle up. You need to lead, because we're trying to save the country from literally becoming an all-out banana republic.
It's also, we have data we didn't have before. We understand ESG and the military-industrial complex and the world, you know, the new world order that the Swiss banks, the World Economic Forum is trying to create. We understand how the CCP is influencing social governance. Like, we know, so we see what we want to avoid. And I think that it gives us an opportunity to create the world in the American image with like decentralized autonomy and local governance and property rights and gun rights and speech rights and things like that. If we do nothing and bicker, they're going to create some autocracy where you get kicked off the internet, you get your bank stripped away because you said daddy wrong. Like,
that's what they're scared of.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about it, like, the reason Ron DeSantis gave the answer he gave, which was like, okay, a lot of people were cheering for it. Some people rolled their eyes. I don't think it was strong enough. Better than him saying, well, you know, if they want to arrest him, they're going to have to extradite him, and I guess that'll happen. But it wasn't a very strong statement. You know what he's worried about? He's worried about his polling numbers. He's worried about when he runs for the president, eventually announcing and then resigning or whatever as he does. He's worried that it's going to look bad to a certain voter base. Suburban women are going to get angry and say, oh, he's so aggressive and abusive. And it's just like, look, man, he doesn't need to literally come out and say, go F yourself to Alvin Bragg. It was not bad that it was really good, actually. He ragged on the Soros DA, says they're evil people, destroying things. I give him total respect for that, because that is good.
That was the best part of the speech.
I'm just saying, like, he needs to come out and just outright say, there will not be an extradition of Donald Trump while I am governor of Florida. Mark my words. You will. And then, you know what I'd love to see? You want to know what really make him presidential? If when Secret Service, whoever, does show up to Mar-a-Lago, Ron DeSantis himself stands in front of the door and says, make me. You'll have to move me physically. The governor of this state. Make that happen. I dare you.
That'd be gangster.
Then people are going to be like, damn.
Yeah.
That would be
But he's not going to do it.
a real play.
And I like DeSantis. He's doing a great job in Florida.
Sure, yeah.
when he says,
But like, you know, I got to be honest, even Trump wouldn't do something like that.
yeah, he said he's not going to get involved, quotes, or whatever. So how does this work, extradition? Does it go through the governor, where the governor has to say yes or no, or does it happen completely separate of the governor? Only the governor can step in and stop it.
To the best of my understanding, it's not necessarily up to the governor. Obviously, they can come out and be the face of the position of the state. But I believe it has to do with, you know, the courts within the state, not so much like the government. The governor just says yes or no, and that's what it is.
Then
I don't believe it's
indicates he's going to let him get extradited, and he's not going to step in to stop it. Because if it's his job to do it, and he says I'm not getting involved, that indicates he's not going to do it. But if his job is all he can do really is stop it from happening, he says not get involved, then he's not going to stop it from happening.
Even if he was just like politically posturing and making it be known, even if he didn't have control, even if he said something like what Tim's saying, that would help.
You know,
but what he's doing right now is the exact opposite.
You know who would do exactly what I just said?
Carrie Lake.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking
Carrie
that
Lake,
too.
100%.
She totally
100%.
100%.
And you knew it. You said it right away. No questions. If Carrie Lake, if this was happening in her state, she would say, you will have to physically remove me, and I will stand in your way with my own body to stop you from making this arrest. She would do it.
She's great, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. When I was with her in Phoenix, I remember thinking, as I was talking to her, like, this lady is actual counterculture. You know, this mom in her nice dress, like, that's counterculture, because she was badass. And you could tell everything she says, she means that stuff.
You spent a lot of time with her. Did you interview her?
No, it wasn't a lot of time, but I guess it was a few days of me in court with her. And then I interviewed her individually, like, elsewhere. And yeah, I thought she was incredible. Incredible.
Dude, she's one of the most interesting and most effective potential governors out there when it comes to how she can handle the media. There's probably no one better than her.
I agree. And with everything that happened with the election, with the misprinted ballots and all of that stuff and the ongoing lawsuits, we'll see where it ends up. But after seeing everything that's happened so far and this conversation we're having right now, I actually think if Donald Trump said she's going to be the VP, I'd say absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And before I was worried, like, well, she worked in media. Then she ran for office for I think the first time, right?
I think so.
And then she doesn't get the office. So what's the political experience of doing it? Now, at this point, I'm kind of like, I don't care about political. I want the opposite of political experience. I want the media experience,
For sure.
and I want the tenacity and the bravery.
So when I wrote that story, and I'm sitting in court, I think it was the first day for her trial, and I'm sitting next to this guy I ended up ragging on at the end of that story, the corporate NBC type guy, who's just blatantly misinterpreting the reality around him. She walks in, sees him immediately, and looks at him and goes, "Oh, this guy writes fantasy." Like, yes. It was amazing.
Yep.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, she's incredible.
I wonder, if some people have speculated it might be Carrie Lake for VP. What do
It
you
would
guys
make
think?
sense. I think that would make sense.
Or Vivek Ramaswamy at this point. He is that thrilling me because the same thing.
He's great.
He's being vocal and great.
People are
And smart.
Yeah,
Super smart.
people are for some reason questioning him. I mean, I guess question everyone. That's great, but he's been nailing it. Every time he opens his mouth, he's incredibly intelligent. He's incredibly successful. He's
solution oriented. I like that.
right.
One of the best assets the GOP has right now. He's not going to be president, with all due respect. But what he's doing with the conversation is he's bringing up ESG and the woke garbage, which needs to happen, and it's being brought to the front and center. Donald Trump will, I think, right now, based on all the factors, which is going to change in a year and a half. But if the election was held today, I think Donald Trump would win. But the conversation and the priorities of that administration would be shifted by Vivek.
You already see it being shifted. Vivek was explicit when he came on IRL when we were in at Turning Point that what we need to do is reposition our assets, our investment assets, onto a different index that's not ESG sensitive. So put it in local, just different indexes, create and use different indexes. And it's the same thing that that Biden just vetoed is this bill to get ESG out of our investments because they're not profitable necessarily. They go for like social crap over profit.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that DeSantis is refusing to allow in his state. And there's a coalition of other states that are refusing ESG.
West Virginia.
Yep. And Virginia.
West Virginia was doing it, I think, first. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.